to another Makeup Monday. Yes. Okay, so it's not about all this stuff. It's about the makeup. We're gonna play with some makeup. There's been a change in the channel again, but this time it's spirit-led in terms of what this channel is about and what needs to be said. So as much as we enjoy makeup, clothes, fashion, and wear your tings, wear una tings, right? And shop in your closet, it's gonna change to, I'll let you know at the end of the video. But anyhow, we're gonna do makeup. As you can see in the beginning or on the thumbnail, what we're going to be doing, okay? And we're gonna play a lot with blushes, bronzers, but we're gonna chit chat as well. So welcome to another Makeup Monday. Welcome back to Makeup Mondays. Welcome back. And there's going to be a shift, as I mentioned, but today we are just going to focus on makeup. Excuse the audio in the beginning of this video. I'm going to include it because as I edit, I want to make sure I get everything that I need without redoing it. I want it to be candid, raw, natural, with hardly any editing. And yeah, again, welcome. My name is Anna. If this is your first time here and you just plopped into the scrolling and I so happen to be here, there's a reason. There's a reason. Makeup and tings, makeup and tings. Welcome. And if you've been here from before and you're a long time subscriber, welcome, 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 welcome. Enough love, enough love. Thank you so much. My name is Anne. I take a section of the beauty aspect of this world and I like to express it outwardly to you guys, whether it be video form here via social media or physically by booking an appointment. Welcome so much to the channel, and today we're going to focus on makeup. You might want to check out some of my vlog posts. They're here on the channel. You might want to subscribe, get notifications, and like if you like something. If not, skip it, check something else out. Or if I'm not your, part of the community in terms of joining in and blending in and I'm not your cup of tea, you can visit someone else, but you could refer me to someone that may need it, okay? We're all different, but we all need each other, right? All right, let's start. As you can see in the thumbnail, this is in the way. I can't do this. Hold on a second. All right, so yeah, we're gonna put on some makeup. Now I've already washed and moisturized my face. I switched up a bit, and as you can see, I have a friend right here that's saying hello for now, but is going to leave. So we're friends today. We're not going to be friends tomorrow. That is there, but we're going to incorporate it because whatever blemishes you may have, you can still wear makeup. You just want to make sure you're taking care of the said areas, whether it be acne, open pores, whatever the case may be, rosacea, whatever. You're taking care of that before you put on your makeup. So say hi and goodbye to my little friend. Okay, we're not going to conceal it. We're just going to continue on. So I washed my face and I put on my moisturizer. And what I'm using now is DCM moisturizer. That's what I have on my face. So make sure you wash your face, whether you have your routine, whether it's, scrubbing, exfoliating, toning, moisturizing, do all that. And then come back and then we can do this makeup together. Remember, use what you have. If you need to know what I'm using, it will be in the description box below. If not, it will be on my LTK because I tend to use the same things over and over. I like to use what I have and try some other things. My kit has a variety of stuff, but what I put on my face and what works for me is what I'm going to be using, okay? All right, let's get started. Now, I'm sure most of you are familiar with the Power Grip Primer by e.l.f., right? I use it sometimes, not all the time. But for today, we are going to use it. So I'm just going to use one pump and to focus on the inner parts of my face. So my nose, cheekbones. I am not going to focus on the brow area. And what I love about this is really sticky and gummy and adheres and creates a barrier between the makeup and your skin, but it does hold the makeup on for a long time. So I want to do it within this area. I also noticed that with the grippiness of it, like the tackiness, it creates like a dewy film. So I want to keep that in mind when I'm putting on my makeup. I don't use primer all the time. I get irritated. That's just my skin. I'm not sure if you're sensitive, but that's what happens for me. So I use it sometimes and then not. So we're going to use that, let that dry a little bit more. And we are going to go in, oh wow, I haven't used this for a minute. Maybelline Fit foundation. If you haven't heard me say this, I'm going to say it again. It's good to have 2 shades, whether it be winter and summer. Your skin changes, you know, you have the sun, then you don't. It switches. And so I like to recommend getting 2, and you can mix the 2 to create your tone, to create your shade during the season that you're in. Now I have 3. I always tend to get 3. So we're going to jump into the Maybelline Fit Me foundation, and I have this to mix my foundation. I'm not sure if you have one. You could always mix it at the back of, on the back of your hand, but we're going to do it on this. Okay, so now we're at the ending of summer, so I am going to use 330 and 340, a little bit of the 315 underneath the eye area and towards the nose, but these are the 2 that I'm going to mix, the 330 and the 340. Okay, you want to shake it before you want to shake it before you actually use it, because it tends to separate. If you look at your foundation, it tends to separate, and you want to be able to have the solution mixed individually before mixing with others, right? So I know my ratio, hopefully it doesn't have to change, but we are going to put some concealer on so we don't have to worry about it being too matchy-matchy. We want it to match the outer skirts of our face and where the sun has kissed. And as you notice, most people, well, one person mentioned it to me, my forehead's so dark. Yes, because the sun hits me here first, right? And when you're wearing makeup, wearing stuff in your face occasionally, or even more so, your skin, your face is lighter than everything else, right? So my forehead is dark. And I tend to not really put foundation or makeup there often, because I've embraced it, and when I'm putting on makeup, I'm creating. So yeah, sometimes our face is lighter than everything else, and we have to consider that. So I mixed the 2, and what I'm going to do is mix them together. I don't know if you have one of these, but it's necessary to get lipstick, to get the product, to get, you know what I'm saying, to get to mix the products. And so I'm just going to do that. As artists, we love having this because it works with many products. I also have this one to mix lipsticks and other stuff together. It works. Let me see. I think so. What do you think? Okay. Now I'm going to go in with the foundation. This is just a brush, a synthetic brush that I got from NYX a while ago. I do love it. It's by NYX. And we are going to apply the foundation more so on the outskirts of the face. As you can see, it's more caramelly, but it's okay because we're going to put concealer on, and that's going to bring the brightness, the brightness towards the center of the face outwards, and that's what I'm trying to go for. Now, I like this foundation. It is full coverage. Oh yeah, you got to moisturize your lips before you do this, because when you're putting lipstick, lip gloss, lip liner, whatever the case may be, your lips are moisturized. That's what I forgot to say. So do that. That's what I have on right now. So yeah. This is full coverage. It will cover some of your blemishes. For me, I don't mind if some of they're not freckles, they're sun-kissed spots. I don't mind that they show. I'm okay with that. So even though this is full coverage, I want to have some naturalness shine through. And yes, I do touch my ears. So I don't know if you want to, you can definitely do that and drag down the neck area when you need to. See, it's a little bit lighter than my dark forehead where the sun is kissed, but it blends in nicely because we want we want our whole face to correspond, the makeup to blend in nicely and look flawless. Everyone has a different way, everyone has a everyone has a different way of applying their makeup. Some people like full coverage where it's full, and then they add, that's fine. For me, I like to add, so I put a little bit and then I add if necessary. And I definitely top up with powders and stuff like that, so I don't want to have too much product on my face and I still want to look natural. Do you know what I'm saying? So as you can see, I still have some on the palette, which is great for touching up if need be as I go along. But I usually use creams, liquids first, lock it in with a powder, then I contour and all that stuff with a powder, and then I spray and I set, right? So that's my routine. If it switches as I go along, that's part of doing makeup. You'll switch it up because you'll feel the need to do that. Do you know what I'm saying? And yeah, so we don't need to do that right now. So I'm going to go into the 315, the lighter shade. Oh, this is like my winter shade. So we're just going to do a little bit, as you can see, dollop. Don't even know what that means, but I've said it many times. A dollop. And we're going to use a brush this time. Use this one. I'm going to use a small synthetic brush, a fluffy synthetic brush, and focus on these areas here. So I'm just going to place it, but I am going to blend it out with the sponge. But I do want to place it. And with the sponge, I don't want to use the sponge to place it. I want to make sure I have the right amount of product in that area so that when I'm blending it out, it smooths out real nicely. So you can see that this is somewhat acting as a concealer. And it gives it a nice softer look, opposed to a stronger look. And I love this brush because it's so light and it can move around the product effortlessly without you having to build up on it and having to go over it, grabbing another brush. You're creating, you're lightly painting. That's exactly what's happening. So when you're using the brushes and tools, even your fingers, you know exactly what it's going to do when you use it and when you do that. Okay, so see, I don't wait for it to dry. I'm just moving it around lightly. First I placed it, now I'm moving it around. I'm considering how much is on the brush to create as I'm placing it and moving it around. But I'm not using it just like a concealer, leaving it, letting it dry, and then moving it around. No, we're going to do that. But we're doing this first, okay? I got tons of product left, as you can see. I'm going to put it to the side. Now I'm going to go in with a damp sponge, right? And we want to spread this. So as much as I didn't put too much on, I can see what's on my face. I don't want that much. As you can see, it's a little bit dewy, but I want to make sure that what I put on, I'm blending it out and camouflaging it, blending it to the features of my face, okay? So I'm going to use the bum, focus on the darker shade first, and blending it in and on the lighter shade, right? We're not wiping it away, we're pouncing lightly. And this causes a diffused look. And it does remove a little bit of the product, which is okay. But we're mixing it together, blending everything together to have it look more realistic and in its place, right? Okay, good. You notice I didn't touch the lighter shades. I am not going to do that until after. I want to bounce into the darker shade, which is not darker shade, but my shade, and then go into the lighter areas and blend that out, fuse it out. Nothing is on the eyelids, which is good. We don't want to do that. Now, we're going to lock it in with some powder. And I prefer to use the Sephora, the medium yellow micro smooth pressed powder. So I love this because it gives it a nice airbrush look. It locks in what I just did. It keeps it in its place. I'm thinking, I just washed this. It feels like it's still a little bit damp. No, it's dry. Okay, good. So this is more of a dense, fluffy brush. I normally use this dome brush all over, which I probably will, but this is my favorite one. You see how it's dense and it's somewhat flat? It places the powder where I need it in a fluffy airbrushed effect. This one, it does the same too, but it's like all over and I have to move it around like this. This one I pat in. So there's a difference, right? We're gonna use this one. So I use a lot. As you can see, I swirl it around. I don't even tap, I just go in. I go in because you cannot really see the pigmentation of this. It's the powder that you want, even though it is slightly colored. It's the powder that you want to lock in the liquid that you just put on, right? So this is a liquid foundation placed where you want it to be placed, and you're locking it in with this powder. Now I'm not going to concentrate underneath the eyes because we're going to go in with the concealer, okay? That's if you're following along and this is one of your, to-dos when you're putting on makeup, the concealer. So if you want to learn the way that I do it, continue watching. If not, pat this underneath your eye and make sure that there's no creases there first. If you want to use your finger and get rid of the crease, or use the sponge to get rid of the crease, and then lock it in with powder, okay? It doesn't always have to be a bright powder. It could be subtle, just keeping your overall makeup look looking natural, opposed to like that light, baked look or anything underneath the eyes. Lock it in with this powder, especially if you don't need concealer and just want that natural glow, okay? So that's my recommendation on that. But we're going to use concealer here. We're going to use concealer on today. We're going to use it. We're going to go in with the Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpted Concealer. This is in Cookie. I got to switch up because we're in fall now. And so I'm just going to put it at the back of my hand just to warm it a little bit, and I don't need too much. Sometimes I'll go in if I want it to dry and I want it to be concentrated in that area, especially if I'm doing like an avant-garde look or evening look or going to an event. I like to use a lot and let it dry in its place and then slightly blend it out. Not today, okay? So I'm going to use the same brush that I used to add the lighter colored foundation and pat it in the product. You notice how I'm rotating the brush, right, to get even distribution on the brush. I'm going to place it where need be, just lightly, not like draw, just lightly, because I want to be able to move it around after I place it. Okay, under the eye, somewhat towards the nose. That's just because of my nose shape and how I put on my makeup. Lightly, and it could be a mess. It's like you're painting, okay? It's not messy, it's just you're placing it right now where it needs to be, okay? Each eye, it doesn't have to be the same, it's where you see it, where you need it, you place it, and then you blend it out, okay? That's it, just a little bit. Just a little bit. Now, see, we have a lot, so I'm going to wipe that off later. I am going to go in with the same sponge. Is this the same one? No, make sure that it's damp, slightly damp. Now, just before it dries, right? Take the bum part for your chin. You're not going to use the bum part for your nose and underneath the eyes, just mainly for your chin. You could do it for the bridge of your nose, which I do because my nose is straight, so the bone structure is like this. So when this lands on it, it's just touching the area that needs to be touched. If it was different, I would use the pointy part, and then I'm just going to pounce on my forehead, blending that out, creating a light area between the brows, bringing it forth. Anything light brings forth, anything darker, it recedes, it causes it to, you know what I'm saying? Light brings forth, dark dissipates, right? And brings it back. Use the pointed area towards my nose, and I like doing that at the side of my nose because it gives it a narrow appearance. Even though my nose is somewhat straight, it is wide in certain areas due to the weight gain. I'm not in denial. I'm correcting that, so there's no shame here. Why I can talk about it. We're correcting it. So the other side, just lightly pat, blend it out, fuse it out. Continue to look at that area and look at the other eye to make sure that they are consistent in terms of blending. It doesn't have to be the same placement because both eyes are different, right? Okay. Now, since I've did that, take the bum, right? Just blend it a little bit towards the under eye area. I like it to fuse out. I don't want it to be under the eye. I want it to fuse out on top of my cheekbones a little bit because I like that look. That's just me. You don't need to do that if you don't have high cheekbones and you're not looking for that look. Just target in the areas underneath the eye to diffuse it and just to camouflage the dark circles and just to bring a lift, okay? Make sure that is all smoothed out by using the sponge, the blender, or you can use your finger just to pat it out a bit. But if you use your finger, you're going to be removing some of the product. So it's best to use the sponge itself and just to diffuse it out. Make sure that there's no lines or any creases before you lock in the powder. So now we're going to go into the Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder. This is a light medium. This is what I use. It's similar to the Huda concept, but it's not as intense in terms of vibrancy and pigment, okay? Huda I do like because it works for the full glam look, but more of a natural look. I do prefer the Fit Me light loose powder that I have here. So I'm gonna use a fluffy brush, a light fluffy brush. Okay, something like this, because then when you're patting it, it works really well. You can use something like this, or you can use something a little bit smaller. This is by Real Techniques. This one is by Morphe. I got it, so like a set. This is Real Techniques. It's a small fluffy brush, right? You want to go into the powder just a little bit, right? I always break it up in the lid so that it's evenly distributed on the brush itself, so it's not like a whole bunch and then landing. But there's a time for that, right? Right now we want to distribute it like fine, lightly. So we want to make sure it's throughout the whole entire brush, lightly, and we're patting it in that area. Just lightly underneath the eye. You don't want to go inside the eye. You want to focus on the area where the concealer is. So I'm going to use a smaller brush for underneath the eye, and I'm going to use a bigger brush for my cheekbones. Now be careful, you don't want to pat it so hard. You want to pat it lightly in that area because the liquid is going to grab the powder quickly, and you don't want too much. You just want it to lock the concealer in its position, but you don't want too much of the powder for it to be so light and stand out, right? And then eventually move around when you are wearing it throughout the day. So I'm using the larger one, and I'm just spreading it out, and I'm patting it along my nose and on the top parts of my cheekbone. Now I can see that the powder is there. You're going to be able to see and feel. It doesn't always have to show like a big light mark, but knowing that you have a nice amount on the brush, when you're landing it, you'll see that it is lightly going where it needs to be. All right, so now for the nose. I put generous amount because I want it to dry a certain way. I also put it within my brows because it tends to get oily there. I don't know about you, but I don't like when my brows are always oily. So I put powder on my brows. The days I don't wear makeup, I don't put powder. I just want my face to be glistening. But right now we're wearing makeup and we don't want to have to worry about the eyebrows being so greasy. Chin. And I like to do it in the shape in which I want it to appear, right? And I'll do a tip of nose, but we're going to add some more powder. What a mess. Anyhow, I didn't want it to be so round at the tip of my nose, but it is what it is. I will wipe it up a little with that fluffy brush that I use for the all over powder. All right, so we're going to let that sit a little bit. And we're going to focus on the contouring powder, all right? So now I haven't used this in a minute. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this. It's by MAC. It's called Sun Power. Have you guys heard of this? This was so famous. This was infamous. This went hand in hand with Gold Deposit and Gold. Oh my goodness. These all together with this was Sun Power. Don't know if you heard of it, but jump back on it if MAC has. I gotta really call and find out if they do, but I have this. I'm going to use a little bit of it. I haven't used it in a minute, but I definitely want to bronze up my face. We're going to use a fluffy brush. This one I got from Morphe as well. Morphe and their brushes are really nice, but I got to switch it up. And I heard of a nice line, and I'm going to jump on that. I think it's BK. I'm going to jump on that. So I'm going to pat it generously. Ooh, what a fallout. It's a lot of fallout. And I am going to pat it on my cheekbone towards my temples. I know a lot of people are doing this now, but I like it for my face because I have high cheekbones, I have small eyes, and when I focus on my brows and eyes, they go up, right? And I like the placement of it. You might have a different placement. Do what you want. Some people put it right underneath the eye area and the cheekbone, on top of the nose, and just do what works for your face, okay? This method, this layout works for my face. You want to make sure that you're happy with what you're doing despite trends and all that stuff, and despite people saying don't do this, don't do that. Do what makes you feel happy. Do what makes you look good. And if someone refers and says do something different, give it a try. Give it a try, because sometimes we see stuff and we do it because other people are doing it, but it might not work for us. This is working for me. So I like this, and I haven't used this shade in so long. It looks so different. It looks reddish, you know what I'm saying? It looks reddish, but it will work. So towards my temples, I'm not going on the forehead. I'm going to go underneath the nose a little bit. Just a bit. Yeah, just a bit. All right, so we did that. And if you have gone ham on your blush, I'm using as a blush, but a bronzer. If you go ham on the blush or even the the bronzer, you could use the brush that you use for all over powder and just go over it lightly just to soften the ends and to take away some of the product. You're diffusing it a little bit, right? That works because sometimes we create something that we're not happy with, but we can blend it out and correct it that way. So now we're going to go in with, I'm going to go in with this one. I love it. This is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation in a powder. I love this shade. I am going to use the same brush that I used for the bronzer with the Sun Power, the MAC Sun Power. And I'm going to go over it with this. This is going to warm it up a bit. It's more like a chestnut. And I notice the Sun Power is more reddish, but this is darker, more sun-kissed. I'm going to go over it lightly in the same areas. And I will fuse some of it out. There we go. Just a little bit. We don't need that much. I'm going to diffuse it out with this brush, the same brush I used to put the all over powder just to lock it in. This will soften it up. I'm going to go in with the same Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation in a powder. This shade, the lighter shade. I'm going to use the same brush that I used to pat the powder underneath my eyes after the concealer. So I'm just going to use, there's a lot of follow. I love this. It's nice and creamy. It works really well, but you got to be careful on how much you put on. I'm not going to go directly underneath the eye, but I'm going to go on top of what I did with the bronzer and on top of my cheekbone, just giving it a lighter effect and a nice mattifying effect. Blending that out. I'm going to go on top of my nose. Well, not on top of my nose, on my nose bridge. Towards my brows, the same area that I applied the concealer. And this fuses it out. It's better to add the powder first before putting colored powder on top of. Do you know what I'm saying? Because then you know what you need and what you don't need. But I'm glad that I added the Sephora powder all over first, because then it diffuses what other powders I'm putting on top, whether it be the brown bronzers or even highlighters, right? So I can use a little bit of that underneath the eye towards my cheekbones in terms of the outer parts. I like to bring them out. We'll let that sit. Okay, so we got that. We're going to let that sit for a bit, and we're going to go in. Should I put blush? No. Should I? I was thinking about putting this MAC. Oh my gosh, hold on. This one's called Lovejoy. Have you guys heard of that one? Lovejoy? Oh man, everybody was on this one. This Lovejoy has a nice satin satin sheer look to it. Is more pinky rose. Oh, this I love. I'm going to use the same bronzer brush. I'm going to put a little bit. Oh my gosh, I was going to skip it, but I love this one. I love this one. So I'm putting it in the apples of my cheeks. Placement again, just lightly, and a little bit on top of my nose. I love this one. Oh my gosh, I'm glad I popped it out. Yo, man, you guys like grabbing things out of my arsenal. I'm like, that one, love it. Love it. So I'm gonna wipe this off and put it on this palette here, because I don't want to create a mess. We're gonna focus on the brows. So I will be going in with my Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade in Ebony. I am going to use an angled brush, my brow brush, that has a spoolie on one end and an angle pointed synthetic brush on the other. I'm going to dip a little bit in because I don't want too much. I don't want my brows to be too dark. And what I do, because it's my personal one, I use the lid and I form the brush in a flat motion so that when I am applying it on my brows, it is somewhat pointed. And I have the product on the brush the way that will work best for me in terms of stroking, or so I'm going to brush my brows. The little brows that I have, if you heard the backstory to that, I'm sure you saw it in one of my vlogs. So I use the same pomade and I put it on my mole. I've been doing it for a long time. Eyeliner, everything, mascara, I just drop it on the mole. So as I start with my brows, I start in the middle and I brush the brow in the same direction that my hairs grow in. And when I land it in the middle of the brow, that's where it's most concentrated, because the brush has so much product on it. Well, as much as I put on it, is more intense in the mid area. And then I create an arch. Everyone has a different arch. Some people don't have arches. I like my brows like this because it complements my face. Again, we start in the center. We go up, and the brush, the angle of the brush, as you can see, the point is towards the inner part because it makes it easier to draw, and then I create my arch like that. Now I could always go back in with the concealer to correct, or even foundation to correct. But you want to draw your brows the best way that suits you. When you start in the middle, the product, it's removed from the brush. So when you shade it anywhere else, it's lighter. In the beginning of the brow, you want it to be lighter. You don't want it to be so dark. I mean, everyone has a preference, but I prefer to be softer towards the beginning and more solid towards the end. Just like that. I've been doing it for years, so sometimes I don't need concealer, but the concealer cleans up the area, or even a lighter foundation cleans up the area to give it more of a shape. I could leave it like this, but I want to touch it up a bit. Now with the spoolie, we just want to make sure we're moving the product around so it's not stuck between the brows and, you know, having certain places look darker and lighter. This is just blending it in. Yes. This one. And what I love about the concealer, or even the light foundation that you're going to put in, you're able to correct any sort of errors you've done with the darker shade, right? All right, so we're going to use a synthetic brush, a flat one. We're going to go in a little bit. So remember, I have the concealer right here, right? So a little bit of the concealer in the lighter shade. We're going to push it on both sides of the brush. I'm not sure if you can see that, both sides of the brush. And we're going to start in the middle part of the brush. That's a lot of liquid, so right in the middle, and then clean up the area with a steady hand, especially the way that you did the arch. There we go. Now you want to be careful too, because even with the shade, brow, pomade, or pencil that you'll use, this will wipe it, but even create a muddy effect if it's too much. So be careful at that. You might even have to wipe off the excess of the dark shade that you use for your brows before you put on the concealer, because it will wipe off dark and give it a muddy look. Okay, we don't need too much. If we were going with the evening look, I would definitely go in with that. Oh, steady hand. I should have grabbed my mirror. Okay, now we're going to get a fluffy brush, clean fluffy brush. And I love this one by Real Techniques. Love this one. So we're going to use that to brush out and blend out the concealer, because sometimes the line can be very harsh, which I don't mind at times, but with this look I don't want to do that. Okay, so that's good. Now we're going to go back in with the, seems like a lot of steps, but trust me, it's all going to come together nicely. We're going to go back in with the Fit Me loose powder. Again, the pigmentation on this is different from Huda Beauty loose powder, so take that in consideration when you're using this. This is more of a natural look that I'm doing. May not seem like it because of the many steps, but the application and the products you use determines that. And this is not so much of a heavy pigmentation in terms of it being so starkly light when you put it on your face, no matter what shade you are, opposed to other brands. So that's why I like this one. So we're just going to pat it loosely where we had put the concealer and lighter foundation under the brow bone, on the brow bone, but under the brow bone, lightly. You can use a lot and then slowly dust it away if you want to, but because I'm so used to doing this, I know how much to put on, and I need it to lock in and collect a little bit more powder. I'm not just locking in the concealer. I want the powder to create And so with the wetness of the concealer, it sucks in the powder, and I want a lot more powder to be sucked in to lock it in more. I hope you get it. I hope you get it. Okay, so now I'm going to use this brush, all over brush, go in and pat it in areas that I have a lot of powder all over. Good stuff. Now we're going to spray, okay? So I have this spray by e.l.f. It's the Stay All Night Microfine Setting Mist. This is up to 16-hour wear, right? I usually use this one, but today we're going to go in with a matte, a fine one. I got this in winter, so I was just trying this brand out. I'm not sure if you tried it, but there's a lot of matte finishing sprays that you can get. I believe Urban Decay has it, Sephora has it. Many have it, okay? But I'm going to try this one. This is Vital Beauty Makeup Setting Spray Mattifying. Just try it. I know it's almost done, but I used it for other things too. Keep in mind when you're using sprays that you don't want to breathe it in, okay? And you want to have a fan nearby, whether it be an electronic fan, a USB fan, a fan like this, because I continuously give mine away when I'm doing makeup for others. Every time I'm doing makeup, I'm like, here you go, just take the fan, just take it. Not expecting them to return it, but you know, they need it for the duration of the day. So I'm using this for now. And you want to do it where it's somewhat dry, right? Now we're going to focus on the eyes, okay? I will be putting on a little bit of liquid liner. And should I? I don't even know if I should or not. Should I put an eyeshadow? Just a little. Just a little. Just a little. We got time, right? We got time. So I'm going to go in with the MAC. And I always have an issue saying this last. The name is Soft Ochre. Okay? I like this. This is the paint pot. I'm laughing because I think I said it correctly. Anyways, Prolong Paint Pot. This is a eyeshadow primer that I have been using for many years. It doesn't always have to be on top of the eye where you put eyeshadow. It could be in the crease area, any place you want it to be locked, where whatever you're putting on top to be locked and firm and staying in. I like the fact that it's more of an opaque-ish color, so any intense color that you want to put on, it's definitely going to show if you use this. There's other eyeshadow primers that you can use. I know I'm talking fast, let me slow down. There are many eyeshadow primers that you can use that is best for you. Transparent one would be best too, but we're going to go in with more of a soft color eyeshadow application. If you're not interested in this, skip all the way to the lips, skip all the way to when we put on the eyelashes. But it would be enjoyable if you stay throughout the whole entire video so we can get to know each other and have a kiki, okay, while we're putting on our makeup. But if you're not doing it with me and you're learning something from this video, watch it next time when you're putting on makeup so we can sit down together, because this is another way of spending time together, right? So we're gonna use this eyeshadow. I'm gonna dip in with my finger. I'm just gonna use a little bit. We don't see how opaque that is. Do you see that? We don't need that much, so I'm gonna shear it out. But I do like to use my finger because this dries really fast. If anyone has used MAC paint pots, they know it gets gritty and it dries really fast. So you gotta move. Using brushes may help too, but I use my fingers because it's easier for me to move around and to put it in its place before it actually dries. All right, now we're gonna go into, I love this palette. Most of it is down to the pan. This is the Morphe 15D palette. Has a nice mirror here, but I won't show the mirror. Has some nice neutral orangey matte shades. Well, some shimmer and some satin. And we're gonna go in, I am going to use just a fluffy brush. And we're gonna go in with the base in terms of a color that's naturally my color. So we're creating. The lighter shade primer that you put there is to create something on top. If you just want your natural eyelid color and it's not discolored, you don't have to color correct, yes, you can put some eyeshadow primer there and just put a neutral color like a powder. You can even put this there. You can put the loose powder here, or you can put something that's similar to your shade just to blend it out if you get oily there throughout the day. So now I'm gonna go in. I'm not going to name the names. I'm not sure if you have this palette, but I'm just going to go in and place. I'm going to speed up the video and then we'll go to the lashes and talk together, okay? That is done for now. Let's put some, I was going to put liquid liner, but I'm going to use eyeshadow. So as you can see, I just used a little bit of eyeshadow to create like a soft wing. I didn't want it to be too harsh. I usually do with liquid liner, but I'm like, no, let's not do that. Let's not do it this time. All right, so we're going to be putting on some lashes, and I do have a video. I'll put it in the description box below, or you can see it in one of my histories of how to put on false lashes. So we're going to zoom through this quickly in this video. I won't talk and waste your time doing it, but I do have one video that shows you how to put on your lashes. Click below and learn how to put it on for yourself. But in terms of lashes, I'm going to put mine on today. Definitely going to put it on because I love lashes. I love my eyes pop and my cheekbones are standing out. My lips are somewhat muted and pouted. My brows are done. That's just my signature look, which I love. And I'll play around different products while doing it. But for today, we are going to put on these lashes. So these are the Doll Eye My Bird lashes. I had to cut some of the end because I wanted it to fall nicely. I didn't want it to go like this. I wanted it to fall nicely. So I'm going to put these on. I'm going to speed up the video a bit, and I'll see you after I put them on. I'm doing my makeup and I'm like, you know what? I don't need to powder any sort of wings on my eyes anymore. My face has changed, and even by putting my hair in an up high ponytail and pulling my face, it's stretching my eyes up, which is helping. That's a trick. I like to put my hair in an up high ponytail and it pulls. I'm not a fan of doing this anymore. I am not going to do this anymore. I don't like the way that it looks. So I'm going to change my eyeshadow or even my liquid liner when I do the wing. I don't know if I'm going to do a wing anymore. If I do, it's going to be intentional. Do you know what I'm saying? But I don't like the way in which this looks, so I am going to alter it a little bit. Yeah. Let's just fuse it out a bit with that same dark color. Just blend it out. Yeah, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to do that. But let's jump on the lips. Let's do this. I got the lashes on. I love how full they are. I usually put mascara on just to blend my lashes in with the lash. I'm not going to do that today. I'm doing this makeup look with you for a reason. As you can tell by the end of this video, I do have a message for you. I'm also putting on makeup today so that I can record a separate video with a message that will be out sooner than you're seeing this right now. So Makeup Mondays, yeah, you'll know at the end. I'm not going to give it up right now. But anyhow, I'm thankful for... I'm starting the speech before it had begun. Let me stop. Let me finish. Okay, let's do the let's do the lips. I think, yeah. So lip liner is going to be more on the chestnutty side. So brown. Choose a color that is a little bit darker than your lip color or your shade. And more so browns, warm browns, not necessarily reddish, for a nice nude look, right? So I'm going to do my signature, the pout, and I draw on the outskirts of my lips, the corners. A little bit, it's like a little bit darker than my complexion, as you can see around my lips. And we're going to go in with NYX Soft Matte Lip Cream in London. This is so amazing. It's so soft and nice. Again, I mentioned about moisturizing your lips before lipstick or before you put on makeup altogether, right? It helps, you know why? Because when you're doing your lips and your lipstick or whatever you choose, lip liner, lip gloss, your lips are moisturized. Some people wipe it off before they put the lipstick or lip liner or lip gloss on. I keep it on. It depends on what kind of look I'm going for. So now this is a matte nude cream lipstick. And the lip liner is somewhat dark, but it's not matte. But my lips are juicy and moisturized because of what I put on before. So when I put the matte on, it's still going to be moisturized. It's not going to be dried out and cracked. I don't want that look. I want my lips to be moisturized with the color that I'm putting on. So since this is mine, and hopefully you have yours as well, when you're putting it on, you're just focusing on the center of the lip. It doesn't have to be neat at all. You just put it there on the inner parts. Mash it by pouting your lips together, moving it around. Yeah, I gotta get rid of that yucky. Move it around and make sure that it does not pass your lip line, doesn't go past what you just drew in the bottom and the top. Keeping the lighter shade in the mid part of your lips to create that pout. It doesn't have to be neat, but it still looks like a pout because you're putting the dark on the outskirts and the light on the inner parts, and you're just moving it around. So this is the look for today. This is the makeup look that we achieved today. Hopefully you're using what you have at home, incorporating the stuff that works for you, and looking in the mirror, putting on your makeup and enhancing yourself with this method that I just taught you. Hopefully you've found some pointers that you can incorporate with your everyday regime in terms of putting on makeup, just a natural beat, an everyday look, if this is what you like, and you've taken the ones and twos from it. Hopefully it helps. And the lashes, again, you want to learn how to put it on, it will be in the description box below. This Makeup Monday and many more going forward, if permitted, is to help you to learn how to put on makeup and to be more educated and playful with what we have, okay? And not losing yourself in translation. You want to be able to see the beauty in you and express it with the tools, and then being confident in walking out with what you've done because you've tried it, okay? I recommend you try it at home, let it sit on your face for the day where you're cleaning up laundry and all that stuff, and then see how it sets after a couple or a few hours. And if it's for you, you'll know, and if it's not, that's okay. Just try something else, right? But we're just playing, and it's all about having fun with creativity and with makeup. Again, thank you so much for being here on Makeup Mondays. My name is Anne, and I'll see you in the next Makeup Monday. The channel has now taken a turn for the better. I will be doing what the Lord has called me to do, opposed to doing things based off of my own understanding. I prefer to do it His way because there's truth in it, there's honesty in it, and there's blessings in it. So welcome to the new change. I'm sure you've seen the post. By the time you've seen this video, this makeup video, you have seen the post and the change in the direction of this channel. It's all for the better. So I hope that you are still here. If not, I understand. But I do welcome those that will be subscribing and joining in. And remember to get notifications. All right? I'll see you in the next video.